and thank you, Donor Network West. I'm truly humbled to be here and a part of this panel. As mentioned, I am a living donor. I've donated twice, my right kidney and the right lobe of my liver, and I donated both altruistically, meaning I didn't have an intended recipient. Whoever needed the organs, we're going to get the organs. So I'll just jump right in. The story started with a conversation with my friend Marcel. We were sitting around talking about driving home from work and seeing somebody broke down on the side of the freeway. And my first thought is always, I should probably pull over and see if I can help. And my second thought is always, they're probably okay. They probably have AAA. Someone else is probably going to help them. And I just keep going on about my day. Well, Marcel challenged me to pay attention to that first voice. He said that first voice is usually spiritual in nature, and everything that comes after that is usually my ego. So it was a really impactful conversation for me, and I thought about it often over a period of years. Now, there was other stuff that was happening too, coincidentally, over a period of years. My sister had a friend who needed an organ, and I heard that voice. It told me I should go get checked out and see if I'm a match. And I didn't do anything about it. And I just, kept living my life. But it haunted me a little bit. And every once in a while, I would think that I'd missed an opportunity. Now, also, my daughter was doing big things in the hospital system out in Arizona, and she was winning awards for her hospital, and she was really actively involved in getting people to check the box on their driver's license. And she was really being recognized for that. So organ donation was kind of on my radar. And looking back now, I feel like all of these coincidences were God tapping me on my shoulder, asking me if I was ready to answer the call yet. But it didn't make any sense to me. Organ donation was not on my radar. I'm not an average 40-something-year-old man that lived a really healthy life. On the contrary, I'm a recovering drug addict, and I was hopelessly addicted to methamphetamine for the better part of 30 years. So there's no way this even seemed possible for me. But after these repeated coincidences or God tapping my shoulder, I finally decided to fill out the application for UCSF. And I had a conversation with my wife, and we started down the path of testing. And I fully expected them to tell me, man, thank you so much for trying, but it's just not going to work out. But that didn't happen. So November of 2019, the day came where I checked into the hospital, and they reached in and they grabbed out my right kidney. They put it on an airplane. They flew it up to Denver, and they put it in somebody else's body. And that's all I knew. It was an anonymous donation. So I did send a get well card with my kidney. And 3 months later, my recipient reached out to me. Her name's Alejandra, and she was a wife and a mother of 2 small children, and she had been tethered to her home dialysis machine for years. Dialysis 10 to 12 hours a day, like was in prison, basically inside of her own house. And so the whole world had just gone on lockdown, but she got to come outside finally. So they got in their travel trailer and they started touring around to all these different empty campsites. And one of the stops that they made was down here to meet me. And I got to hug her, and I got to meet her husband, James, and her children, Luna and Trey. And it was just fantastic. Now, coincidentally, my donor advocate from UCSF reached out just to see how I was doing. And I was so excited. I had just met Alejandra, and it was fantastic. And I told her, I want to do the liver now. And she basically told me I was an idiot, that I was just like really hyped up because of what was happening. And the liver was a whole different deal, and I didn't know what I was talking about. And anyways, I couldn't do anything for a year. Well, that's the only part that I heard. I couldn't do anything for a year. So I waited for a year, and then I signed the application, or filled out the application online again, and started the testing process all over. It took about 9 months. And they found me healthy enough to do that. So they cut me open, and they removed the right lobe of my liver, and they put it in a man from Guerneville who had a wife and 3 daughters that weren't ready to lose him yet. He walked into UCSF with liver cancer, and a couple of weeks later, he walked out cancer-free. I just recently got to do a 5K at Donor Network West with him and his entire family, and he's living his best life. It's just fantastic to me. So, what happened in the hospital when I was recovering, as I was walking in the hallways with my parents, and I bumped into this woman, and it turned out to be my recipient's daughter. So I met her by accident, and the conversation was quick. Why are you here? She said, my dad just got a liver. What day was his surgery? It was on Wednesday. And I knew that he got my liver, and we hugged and we sobbed. And I promise you that it felt like God was hugging me through that woman. It was fantastic. So listen, this panel is full of these religious people that have been trained and educated, and I'm not that, right? But here's what I do know. I believe that I answered God's call, and it worked out really well for a couple of people. You know, my mom has taught me that we're to follow two rules in life. One is to love God, and the other is to love God's children. And I feel like that was accomplished here. So there's a lot more I could talk about. I could go on and on, but we do have a time limit. So I'll just say, if you are interested in living donation and want to know what the process was like, I encourage you to reach out to Donor Network West. You can speak with Annie or Tippy. Tippy's my buddy down there, and they have my contact information, and I will happily chat with any of you if this is something that interests you. But it was life-altering for me, and it was definitely life-altering for my two recipients. So again, thank you so much for allowing me to be on this panel. I'm humbled and grateful, and thanks for your time.